2000 2022. I'm going to ask the committee for a motion to approve the minutes from December and January, December 2021 and January 2022. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Secretary, please note that the minutes for December 2021 and January 2022 are approved as submitted. You know what? I realize I don't have an agenda. I'm going to turn this over to either Andrew or Brian. I got to recuse myself from the first project on the agenda, old business. Take it away, fellas.
Brian, why don't you go
Yeah.
ahead and take this? I was not at the January meeting, and if I may, Jeff, could you please note that I cannot approve the January minutes? I was not in attendance in January. Thank you.
Okay, starting with old business, that's 1AR-2-22, 830 Highland Ave, new single-family home.
Who do we have?
Jared Kuhn also could be unmuted.
Yep.
All right. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll just jump right in. Good evening. Jared Kuhn with Hanlon Architects, representing James Tabby, the property owner for the project. So this is our second time, so I'll just kind of run through. If we want to start with the, let's run through the, well, we can start with this rendering first. So the changes here would be, we looked at kind of the mass, the cantilevered mass above the concrete. It was previously shown as EFIS, kind of like a monolithic volume up there. So we've looked at that and kind of we've revised it to show kind of the reveal lines of a kind of a metal panel ACM kind of rain screen system, showing the proposed reveal lines for that and how that coping line, you see at the top there, the coping line, what we try to do is kind of fold that ACM over the top of that and then create the coping behind that. If you want to, maybe we'll switch to the, since we're on that, we'll switch to the section at the, all the way at the end there. Right, so on the left-hand side, you have the kind of the recessed glazing, and we're showing kind of the ACM wrapping up over the top of that. So you got the window head, and then the parapet's kind of recessed back, yeah, so that parapet. So we bring the ACM all the way back to that line, and then that's where your coping line would be. And we would try to keep that coping line the same color as the ACM. And that would be, yeah. Yep. So that's kind of the coping approach on that, on the ACM. And then, sorry, Jeff, if you can switch back to the rendering there. And then let's see. So we've kind of brought the wood trellis area to the left, the enclosed stair, brought that further. So before, it was kind of just general shown, but we're bringing that trellis system to the outside of the glazing. And we've provided a product name for that on the section there. But in this way, let's, I guess if we, one more time, Jeff, if we could go to the section. So the goal would be is, we've got the wooden system. It's a composite wood looking product. And it comes with its own kind of vertical struts that these kind of snap into. So that they can be, the goal would be a removable panel just for, cleaning the glass and that, but it would be a trellis on the outside of the storefront glazing system. And then if we want to go to the elevations, please. And then just running around the elevations, you can see the coping line there. So the cantilevered mass would be the ACM rain screen system with the coping. It kind of sets back. And then the coping would be the same color. And then when we move to the concrete, that's where we would have a change in coping color. And that would kind of be like a bronze or something to contrast the concrete. And then going down to the next elevation. And it's the same thing. You can kind of see that step in the parapet there. You'll see it in 2D elevation, but we stepped it back because once you're the building, the elevation of that building, you will not see that from the perspective of the road. We're just trying to keep that minimal line. And just keep going down, please. Same thing, we're just showing, about that a little bit farther, the wood trellis system over the glazing, showing the coping lines, upgraded the grade per civil. And back elevation no changes on that really. So, and then the last item there was kind of what so the proposed window covering, we talked about kind of a roller shade concept on the inside of the glass. Jeff, you can go back to that rendering, please. And we tried to show it best as possible in this scenario, kind of a 3/4 drawn roller shade. And the glass is recessed, and there's going to be some reflectiveness of that glazing there as well. So we're just showing that roller shade system in the rendering. I think that those were so I had the main items being the roof parapet details, the stair cover, shadings for the front window, and alternate material to the ephes. So that kind of covers my list. I'll open it up to questions.
Okay. Fran, let's start with you.
Okay. I feel our comments were addressed from the last meeting, and details answered any questions I had previously. So I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mary.
Sorry, guys, I jumped in late. I apologize. So I'm a little behind on this. I see there are now window coverings being shown, so at least we know what it's going to look like. It's kind of a blind face still to the road, so that was my concern last time, so I have to defer to you on the other issues. Thank you.
Okay. Casey.
I appreciate the change in material. I think the metal panel definitely works better than the ephes. One question I did have, kind of on both side elevations, how is this panel marrying in with the concrete and what's happening with the parapet? Because in this one, it almost looks like the panel is proud of the concrete and that parapet beyond aligns with the concrete. But then when we got to the west elevation, it almost, do you go to the west elevation? Sorry. Yeah. There it almost looks like it's in the same plane, and then the parapet over the white box is stepped beyond. Like, it's a little confusing on how you're bringing these all together.
So if you can go back to the front elevation, the south, just that one. Yeah. So if you can get both of those in the picture, that'd be great. Excellent. Okay. So looking at this, so the ACM wood, so you're seeing a shadow line underneath it, but it's kind of that same concept we were talking with the ephes. It would be, I would say, around 2 inches proud of the concrete, the ACM panel. And then the coping above, so it would only recess, I'm just trying to look at so we have that recessed parapet line. So Jeff, if you can go to that section. sorry, I held it at the end. So that recess there of, I think it's around 2 feet or so, where that parapet sets back from the front plane, that would return also recessed on both sides of the building, so the east and west side. And then where that meets the concrete, then it would return into the concrete. So it would be, it's the thickness of the concretes would be, I think we're at 8 inches or so. So you would see, there'd be like an 8-inch return on that side where they meet. So it'd be fully recessed around 3 sides of the ACM, and then it would meet the concrete there. And that's where we would switch coping.
Okay, and then on the west side, is it also proud of the
Correct.
main facade is proud of the concrete? Okay.
Correct. Just a couple inches, just to get some sort of plane differential, but it would not be, the goal would not be to have that on the same plane.
Okay.
Definitely want the ACM proud of the concrete in that situation.
Okay. I think that was really the only question I had. Those were kind of the details we had asked to be added, and that was the only part that is still outstanding. It would be nice to see a roof plan. I think you had it in the first submission and don't have it in the revised one.
Yep.
But I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Andrew?
Yeah, I apologize. I was not here last month to see the original submission, but just a couple questions. As it relates to the roof plan, how are you proposing that drainage is going to be coming off of that roof? Are you putting downspouts on any of the facades? Where are those? How is that going to be handled? Would be my first question.
Yep. So I know it's not a full building section there. It's just kind of that end detail, but that's so it's the roof framing itself would be flat and level. And then what we're doing is we're pitching, so it'd be tapered tapered insulation. That would be a low point in the middle, kind of in that center wall there. So we'd be collecting with roof drain systems internally, and then that would connect to the system from there. So no exterior downspouts at this point.
Okay. My next question as it relates to the front facade, which I call the road facade. The windows that you're showing in your rendering appear, I guess the 3D rendering appear to be non-tinted. Are you planning a tint? Is there a mirror finish to that window? What is that window panel?
Yep, that's a good question. So yeah, right now we're showing kind of 4 sections. There are 4 sections. We'll say there's a mullion in between each one, and then there'd be butt glazing in between that. And to answer your question on the type of glazing, we haven't gotten that far into the process at this point. There's a certain level of solar management that we have to do there because it is south facing and that. So it's kind of down the line. It's a budget thing and all that. So we don't have a specific glass spec at this time.
Okay, because that will definitely affect the appearance of the front of the facade, whether or not there is a tint or a mirroring to that.
Right.
And then the rest of what I'll say is subjective, if you will. I mean, that mirroring might make that stand out quite a bit versus having it as more of a see-through, clear glass through that. So. I mean, I think the window shades will help dramatically for interior light coming out to the exterior. Jeff, could you please go back to the site plan? How far off of the road is this, and what's the elevation difference from the building footprint and the actual road grade itself? Dealing with. I can't read the numbers, 537 up to 548.
Yeah.
Yeah, 548. 5 is the house elevation.
Okay, so you're 11 feet higher than the driveway entry, plus or minus, just to the garage door elevation.
Right, and then the windows are another story above that.
Right. Okay.
Is there a preference that the town would have on the glazing of the
Well, I have
windows?
some, I have actually a few.
I don't
think
know
the
if
town
the
has,
town,
yeah, I don't think they have a specific preference for glazing. I think it's just, something that would go with whatever you have that has the, the look that, as long as it looks cohesive, I guess is the answer I was going for.
and I guess my commentary, if you will, again, subjective as it may be, is that mirrored glass effect puts you into a mirror cube versus having the ability to see in and through, which gives it much more of an open appearance. Because if it's mirrored, then I kind of like the glass house effect, if you will. You can see all the way through the glass house, and it gives it provides an openness to it. As soon as you put an opaqueness or a mirror to finish to that glass, then it becomes one solid panel during daylight. That's all.
Yeah, and I personally would not want anything close to a mirrored finish. I'd much prefer being able to see in and out, especially with the distance from the road and the elevation. I assume, of course, we would want, again, some subtle tint for energy management and just a little bit of reflection.
Yeah, but I think as Jared had noted, you really haven't gotten that far into kind of investigating what that tint might be or should be for solar gain purposes. I mean, awesome opportunity to do the passive radiation that you're going to get out of the south-facing facade is be phenomenal. Which then kind of leads me to my next question. I mean, where are any utilities or mechanics going to be located? Are you going to mount them on the roof, or are they going to be on the ground? I'm talking about heat pumps and or air conditioning units and things of that nature.
So there's a mechanical room on the kind of northwest side of the lower level, and then and any ground mounted equipment would be behind the building.
Okay, on the north side of the structure.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, Brian, that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. With that rendering image that you have right there, is what's the material on the garage doors? Is that was meant to be glass?
Yeah, well, not really not a reflected glass, more of maybe like a frosted glass. James, is that correct?
Yeah, that original intent was frosted, yes.
Yeah, so that's
Not mirrored,
so that would
not
be
mirrored for sure.
Right.
Not mirrored. Okay. Okay. And then other question I had on the north elevation, the backside. I think I could be wrong, but I think in some of the plan views you showed 2 windows and it has 3 in the back. And I was just curious what was driving the spacing of those windows. If that was just personal choice. I only asked the question because everything that you have on the building in the other elevations is so very rigidly spaced out, and yet here it is not. So I just wanted to ask that question.
Jeff, if you could run to that floor plan real quick. So up on that.
No, there it shows 3. I think there was maybe it's the site plan. It shows 2.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because the third one we did kind of in the last couple months kind of revise that area a little bit. But yeah, it's really just getting a light into those 2 bathrooms in the office. But we could. I mean, there is flexibility there. It's a good point. I mean, there is a flexibility there to kind of even those out.
I kind of like the asymmetry somewhere on the building.
Just a question. So, okay, I think we're all set. You can call the office in the morning. And
Brian,
did I miss someone?
No, I came up with a new question.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Sorry, looking at the floor plan on the lower level, it does show a door going into the stairwell, but none of the elevations or renderings indicate that. What is the intention there, and what is the door if it is one?
I think she's saying the door from the driveway up. And on the original rendering, the three-dimensional rendering, it doesn't show a door in that location.
Mhm.
Yeah, there should not be a door there, right, Jared?
That would, can we just drop to the rendering real quick? I guess that would be your call, James. I don't think that yeah.
I mean, the exterior elevation doesn't show a door either. It kind of just
Right.
shows the steps beyond.
Right. That's
Yep.
just the
It's a
whole.
large opening, so that's kind of why I'm asking. If that's a door, it's a big door.
Mhm.
Well, I'll state the intent that the idea was to have it be an opening, no door, but to possibly have a roller door that could be closed in the winter when you don't need that ready access. So something that would mimic the look of the garage door, but come down, prevent snow and leaves and everything from coming in. But I don't think that's been finalized.
If you do kind of go with that overhead door concept, would you essentially match what you're doing with the garage doors as far as aligning, materials and aligning the horizontal datums, or something different?
We would want it to be as consistent as possible, for sure.
Okay. And those garage doors, are they glass panels?
It'd be a frosted glass panel.
Frosted glass? Okay. And then just while you've got that elevation up, I did notice on the kind of right half of the upper exterior elevation that the butt glazing kind of are the locations intentional to be kind of sporadic?
No, so I think so. We're kind of the strong verticals, the three verticals there in the middle are aligned with structural columns.
Understood.
Those are those are hold points, and then anything glazing in between that would be equal panels.
Equal panels. Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, great. Now here's a question for Jeff. If they want to find out the answer to today's deliberation, do they call you or do they call Jason?
I think they would call me for this one.
Okay.
They can also
So that's
stay
your
on.
answer.
They can also stay on and to listen to the deliberation at the end.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your attention. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Are we all set?
Yep.
Next on the agenda is new business 2AR dash 2265 Brookview. Sorry. A 2AR-1-2265 Brookside Drive, Green Spark, roof mounted solar panels. All right, go ahead.
I had to I can't. Oh, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
All right. Good to see some of you guys again. So we're here with another solar proposal. We're looking at a 12.2 kilowatt DC roof mounted solar system. Again, to be installed at 65 Brookside Drive. It's going to be comprised of 33 modules in 2 arrays. One on the front of the house and then one on the side as well. I think you guys have all the documents there, Scanify. So bringing down like all of our PV power from the roof to the backside, and then into the basement we'll be hanging our BOS equipment. So, but any questions, we'll have at them.
Casey?
Nope. No questions. Thank you.
Casey, I think you're muted.
I unmuted.
There you go.
Okay.
go
No
ahead.
questions.
Fran?
No questions for me. Thank you, Stuart.
Brian?
The on the front of the house, the one missing panel, is that because there's utility there?
Unfortunately, there's an existing vent there,
Okay.
which is in both those spots in the front of the house. Otherwise, we would have filled those, but
Okay. And just because I didn't see it, which is north and which is south?
right. Let me pull that up here. So the front of the house is east, and then the array in the back of the house is facing south.
South. Okay. All right. All set. Thanks.
Are you all set, Brian?
Yep.
Andrew?
Yeah, I do have the same question about the two missing panels on the front facade. And I know I'm going to ask a really wild question here, but is there any way that a fake fill could be placed in those two locations such that it looks like one large array and not having those two empty pieces? And I'm looking at it from an aesthetic standpoint. It looks awkward without those panels or something in there to replicate the look of the panel. I understand completely the stepped pattern on the smaller array that faces south, but on that front facade, that's going to be a very awkward look. So I throw that out.
Yeah, I totally understand, sympathize with that there. Unfortunately, we don't have kind of that filler panel like you're describing available to us. Worth noting though, this with the system how it's set up now will cover about 110% of the customer's utility bill. So we're just trying to reach that goal.
Andrew, are you all set?
Yeah, that's the only comment that I have. Yep.
So I'm going to piggyback on those two comments. Is there any way that you can divide that up into 3 separate panels?
So 3 separate sections.
Yeah.
This design was based on like efficiency, again, to reach that goal of 110%. So in terms of cost and just efficiency, this is the best design our design team could come up with to reach that.
I probably may be stepping out of bounds, but I can't imagine your increase in cost is going to be that high. So anyways, Mary, you're up.
Thank you, Stuart. Yeah, with this donut configuration, it doesn't even look like it's centered on the front door.
Yeah, I do apologize. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh, no, and I just wanted to point out to everyone that maybe the roof is a dark color and you're just seeing that high contrast now because of the snow on the roof. So just something to keep in mind. I don't think it's going to be that glaring of a contrast. Not that I like it, I'm just saying it won't be that severe.
To address the part about the centeredness, I realized this today, but if you, Jeff, you go to the site plan, I don't know if you have that pulled up by chance. Might be labeled part 1. Oh, you probably don't have that. Shoot. Am I able to share my screen at all, or are we kind of locked in here?
We're kind of locked in.
Okay. Well, at any rate, it might look a little off center in what you're viewing now, but the updated site plan is centered. It still has those 2 missing panels, unfortunately, but it is centered on the roof.
Good morning.
To say, are there
not-
any more drawings? Because typically we get actual drawings and not just these weird little renderings.
Yeah, this might have been my mistake. When I submitted this to Jeff, I submitted it with 3 parts, and I realized I probably should put everything in this architectural board review. But I do have the other parts of the application with those typical site plans you're referencing submitted in that same email that I sent this in.
Jeff, do you have those, or is that something that he could resend?
I probably have an email. Just take me a sec to find it.
While he's looking for that, I guess one question I have, what color is the roof?
The roof, that's camouflage, should be pretty accurate. But let me see if I can. Yeah, dark gray. So it's actually going to be a little darker than it's showing up in that rendering there.
Okay. And is that, the roof's fairly new?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
So in your site plan, it looks like you're missing 2 panels. You got an existing roof penetration called out in 2 different spots. So I'm going to ask, which one are you building here?
That Scanify, I believe. Can you go back to that one, Jeff? Yeah, that one's there too. It might just be hard to see, and depending on which view you're looking at.
Oh, so that, yeah, I see. It's
Yeah,
Well,
not
it's in a
That's
different
right.
location,
Yeah, two existing penetrations.
right? But they're shown in 2 different locations between your 2 documents.
Right. Yeah. So that's my apologies. This site plan that we're looking at right now, that's correct. The visual rendering is the older version. So again, this site plan here, you can see it's centered on the roof there, but there will be two missing panels.
So if you
I
were
have
to
$1 million, I have $1 million proposal for you, Sean. You go out and manufacture a fake panel so you don't have to look at the missing panels.
Yeah, you're onto something there, I think. You know, because trust me, we like to get them symmetrical, even as best we can. So I hear you there.
and we like to see it as symmetrical as possible. My quick question is, if you were to rearrange these to a more appealing layout, what's your drop in efficiency?
That's something I'd have to talk to the design team about. But they do as well kind of had the same vision of trying to, they're not just throwing things up in a random order. They're trying to keep things looking nice. So, but that's something I can't speak to off the top of my head.
You know, as I sit here and look at this, I kind of wonder, on the south side, you've got them, and I don't know, how this works, but on the south side, you've got them stacked vertically, and on the front, you've got them stacked horizontally. What if you looked at stacking them vertically in front? How would that affect what you're doing?
Yeah, so that's one of our preferred, is to do them portrait, like they're on the south roof there. But again, the design team determined that landscape was the most efficient way to meet the PV goals, as well as like fitting panels on the roof. So we did explore that option as well. Yeah, but we'd still have the missing panel problem.
So does anyone have any more questions here? If not, Sean, you can give Jeff's office a call in the morning and get the results of our deliberation here. Okay,
All right, thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is 2AR-2-22, 2715. Is it Henrietta Town Line Road? West Henrietta Road. Sorry, Alliance Fleet, enclosing an area under a building overhang. Is Alliance Fleet here?
Is this new business?
They didn't show up, I think, last time, right?
Oh.
Yeah, the last 2 times.
Oh, because I know we looked at this.
Yeah.
So they were denied, weren't they? If you guys
Yeah.
read the minutes correctly?
I don't remember them.
They were
Oh,
denied without prejudice.
Okay.
And so this was kind of like the resubmittal of it. 'Cause I
Okay.
talked to him on the phone. I tried giving him a call today and I sent him the meeting link on Friday, so I'm not sure.
All right, if they're not
Exactly.
here, let's move on to the next one.
All right.
Next is 2AR-3-22, 90 Bradford Road, Third Rock Solar, roof mounted solar. Is anyone here?
I am.
Okay, you can start your presentation. Welcome.
Thank you. How are you tonight?
We're all doing well, I think.
Good, good, good. I'm sorry about that. I got that phone call. I didn't think I was muted. I thought I was muted on the line a little while ago there. My apologies if some of that came through. All right. What we got here is a solar system for our client there, Mr. Miller. It's pretty much, we spent a lot of time trying to figure out the best way to do this. Luckily, he doesn't use an awful lot of electric. I did want to use more of that garage roof also, but he didn't want to use that. So we positioned it as such here. We trying to get everything in line where they would fit properly. These are all 100% black panels, so there's no lines on them or anything like that. So they'll blend into the roof fairly well. Also, we're trying to hide the conduit as much as possible. You will see the green line on there. We're trying to take that up and over the back side of the roof on the north side of the house there. Some of it is going to be hidden underneath some of the panels as far as that goes, so you won't see that much of it. That upper section, and you don't really see much of that up on top there because the roof's so high and not so steep there anyways. So it's kind of hard to even see those panels up there.
I'm sorry, can we see something with the ridge lines in it? I can't make them out on the photo. And the other drawings are not on the screen. Thank you.
Oh.
Fine.
The left roof is the upper roof, and then the two lower sections are the main part of the house there.
Jeff, can you go back to the pictometry photo? Okay, Casey, do you have any questions?
Well, I think the glaring issue is the exposed conduits.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that we really don't accept unless there's a really, really good excuse for it. And then
There's
it
no-
has to be minimal at that point.
There's virtually no way to get the electric through the attic and into those spaces because the attics don't connect as far as that goes. So if we could do it that way, normally I'll take a Solidex and go through the attic and over to the electric panel, but where the electric service is, it's on the far north side of the house. And I'm trying to hide it into the corners and into the ridge line so that you don't see them as much. And under the panels where we can.
What was that last part?
I said, we're trying to hide that stuff as much as possible where you don't see the conduit, underneath there. If you look at how we got the green lines, that stuff is going to be not as exposed as much, as it could be as far as that goes. Because we're trying to hide some of it underneath the panels and things of that nature as we're doing it. But there ain't much we can do about that. We could try to paint the conduit as close to the color as the roof as we can to make it match so it looks better.
Fran, do you have any questions? Oh, sorry, Casey, are you also?
So I finally got this pulled up on, we didn't get this ahead of time. So I'm trying to catch up here. So that lower roof actually, like the far right with the pink and purple ones, that's actually lower. That's only the 1 story. So now
Yes.
you've got this conduit coming from the 2nd story and
Yep.
then coming down the face of the house. to reach
It'll
those
be,
lower ones?
that conduit will be in the corner there of the house where the point, right there where you're pointing.
Right.
That's where the conduit run's gonna go up through there.
Okay,
So just one piece will be shown on that section right there.
okay. I don't love it, but I'll let someone else talk.
What time, sorry?
Fran, your shot?
Yeah, I just have the same concerns. It's a prominent spot for an exposed conduit. You'd mentioned painting it the same color of the roof, but in some spots it may have to match the house. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean, we'll figure that out. That ain't, I mean, I'll get some matching colors and blend it the best we can. I mean, trying to get I mean, that's what we would normally do anyways.
Stephen, do you have any installations in the town of Brighton?
Nothing directly in there yet. I mean, I did one, I don't know if it came I think it came through you, but you guys approved it, but it was a pre-installed installation. It was on the back side of the house. I just think that one flew through. That was over on West Henrietta Road, just before you get to, oh God, what's the name of that road there? It's on just to the west of the 390 there. So it's right in that area.
Okay, Brian?
I know this house because it's my neighbor's house down the street. The conduit would be on the Roosevelt side, correct? Not on the Bradford side?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know that you would even if you're standing in the driveway, I don't know that you would even see the conduit that much because it's pretty far off the road and there's a huge tree in the front.
Yeah.
I don't know that you would, and there's, you know, now that I say that, is I'm looking at a Google view of that house. He's got gutter lines coming down. Do you have those figured into the plan?
Yes, we do. Yes.
Okay. I think I'm all set. Thanks.
Andrew?
Yeah, I'm concerned about the visible conduit, and you know, my point is it will have to be attached at the most inconspicuous location at, you know, a roof wall intersection or along a corner so that it does disappear, and it must be painted the same color as the house and or the roof if it is to go on top of any of this. I mean, there's I know you're limited with what you have on the house, limited by some of the other extrusions coming through the roof and such, but is there a way to not have this disjointed panel locations everywhere? For example, on the image that I see right in front where it says access roof on the upper. Yep, thank you. And if you dropped your hand directly down, Jeff, there's an empty space between two panels on the left, and then there's 5 panels on the right. Was there any thought of trying to put panels in that area?
Well, I wanted to, but the issue with it is we have fire setbacks that we have to follow, and I couldn't meet those with putting a panel there. And the panel would have to be separated from the 2 arrays. It just didn't fit right in our design package.
It's almost as if that the lower garage roof would be a better location for solar panels because of no obstructions, and you don't have everything else going on.
There was that big tree there that shades it all morning long, and then the house shades that in the afternoon. So yes, it is a great location, but not really conducive to the production side of it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a little challenged with the kind of the ad hoc positioning of all these panels. You know, a set of
get
two,
it.
a set of two, a set of two. And it just doesn't, yeah. If you listen to the earlier presentation with the other solar panels, I mean, there it's a large array, and yes, we're missing panels, but it makes one solid field. This is,
I would love to be able to put them all on a roof plane, but this house just doesn't have that in the makeup of the way the roof line is created.
Are you all set, Andrew?
yeah.
Yeah, I
Mary?
really do get that.
I think people have mentioned the conduit, the arrangement of the panels, and the existing confusing situation with the downspouts. I was wondering how old this roof is.
The roof is around 10 years old.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of issues with the overall design and the holistic design of all of these systems together on this particular house, given the age of the roof and what you're trying to achieve. So it's just something we'll discuss. It's not really a question. So I just am seconding what other people have already said.
All right.
I'm all set, Stuart. Thank you.
I think Stuart's frozen.
Stuart's frozen in time and space.
Oh,
Are we good with this one then? Everybody
Sure.
else set?
Yeah, I think we're all set.
Yeah, I think we're all set.
All right, well, thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah, you can call Jeff's office tomorrow to let you know what our decision was based upon our deliberations.
Stuart's back.
Stuart, you're mute.
Sorry,
No need to apologize.
my connection was lost here. Steve, we did have a company come in that had never really installed in Brighton. We did ask them to come back with a new plan and,
He's off the line now.
oh, is he? Okay. Anyways, I think we can expect better. Okay, next on the agenda is signage.
This is 1850 Brighton Henrietta Town Line. They were in last month for the
Mhm.
re-review. They have an existing, there's a existing variance for, so they can have signs on two sides of the two building faces.
I just drove by this, actually. They're starting to treat all the walls on the outside. I think it's fine.
So was there a sign presentation last month? I was not on the meeting.
No,
Okay,
Had to make some changes to the building, so they came back with that.
all right. Casey,
Good with it.
Fran,
I'm good with it too.
Brian,
yep, good.
Andrew?
I guess I'm okay with it. I'm just curious. I mean, my only question is, on both the south elevation and the east elevation, it appears as if the sign has just been placed off of one side, like the left-hand side of that canopy wrap. And so it's offset by whatever, 4 or 5 feet on both of those. But I know it just, I don't know. I'm fine with the sign and the text. It just kind of the location kind of just disturbs me.
So how would you resolve it?
On the south elevation, I'm curious of why they wouldn't center it on that panel area and center it so that it is in the center of that secondary roof. And on the east elevation, almost center it between the pier locations versus having it shifted to the left.
So it does look like it's centered in the east between two piers. But
No, it's pushed over to the left in each one of these elevations.
okay. Mary?
Excuse me, felt a sneeze coming on. Oh, anyway, sorry. Yeah, I mean, there's not a great contrast with that gray and the gray background. We don't know what it really is. So I hope for them that there's enough contrast there. I get the point about the centering or not, but you know, we're looking at a drawing and experiencing it in real life. You'd never really be standing straight on like that. So it wouldn't preclude me from giving an okay on my end.
Okay.
Thank you, Stuart.
Yep, I'm okay with it, but I think if Andy's got some comments, we should add them. But so it looks like everyone's okay with that sign.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it looks like they've, to the left side, it looks like they've spaced them equally from the left-hand side on both the south and east elevations. So you could take one and literally move it to the other side. So I think they did something uniform there, at least to the left side, but they didn't consider the east elevation by itself. I don't know. I don't know if there's a reveal there or what. So
I also don't know how the driveways line up with this and the road, et cetera. So that there may be a data point there.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, there might be a sidewalk on the right side of the east elevation.
Yep.
And a curb, yeah.
Or a good view zone through someone else's property, et cetera.
Yeah.
So if we approve this, is everyone good with it or not?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, me too.
Okay, Jeff. You want to note that it's approved and we can move on to old business and discuss 830 Highland Ave. Casey, I'm going to go right down the list. Casey?
You asking for comments or table versus approved? Straw poll or comments?
Well, if you're okay with it, just say you're okay. If you're against it, say why.
Okay, I would be on board probably with approval. Definitely need some clarification, or at least we need to put some verbiage in about what's happening with that door or lack of door to the stair. But all in all, I think they answered our questions. I'm okay with it.
Okay, Fran,
I approve it.
Brian,
Yeah, I would approve this.
Andrew,
Yeah, I would approve it.
Mary.
I'm okay with it, Stuart.
Okay, so approved as presented with a information, I don't know, a detail on the door that will be covering that opening.
There's something you want to see on the door, like do you want to recommend they match the garage doors as best as possible? Something along those lines.
Yeah, I think maybe it's something, you know, as discussed, overhead door will be provided. And, you know, the board recommends that it matches or coordinates with garage overhead doors.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Jeff, to that point, I mean, just to make sure that we're covering ourselves, that the garage doors were proposed to be a frosted glass door. And I could see that I could see that door for the stairways being a frosted glass door as well. Does anybody have concerns about the transparency of those windows aside from myself?
Other than I agree that a mirrored surface would not be appropriate, but I think they agree with that as well. But I
Well, do we
think,
want to take a stand to make sure that that comment is in the approval, that mirrored glass will not be acceptable?
Well, I
Because
think
I
he
would hate to
said,
see.
yeah, I think he said there's no way he would want mirrored.
Mhm.
I can say the windows shall not be mirrored glass as discussed during the meeting.
Yeah, I would definitely
Yeah,
add that.
I would definitely add that, such that we don't get, this blue or gray or bronze wall of glass.
It just says storefront glazing on the drawing.
But he made the comment about it during the meeting, and so that's part of the record and what we are approving now.
Okay.
Okay, everyone all set? Move on to 2AR1-22 65 Brookside. Casey?
It's funny, every time I hate that things aren't centered and symmetrical, you guys tell me to knock it off. So I agreed with all the comments you guys said. I feel like there should be a better solution to the layout. But at the same time, I feel like we never really make much of a difference on solar layouts.
I would disagree with that, but yeah. Okay, so approve, table, or deny, or?
I'm going to go with the flow, whatever the rest of the board thinks.
Well, you're starting it off.
Well, I don't want to. Fran, your turn.
All right, I approve this.
I didn't hear you, Fran.
I approve this.
Brian?
I don't want to approve it, but
Well, then don't.
I mean, I really don't like it. I mean, but what do we do? I mean, they can't move the utilities. You know what I mean? Like,
I do believe they can come up with a better layout.
I mean, we could table it and say, come up with a better layout. We've done that before, haven't we?
Yeah.
Why don't we lean in that direction? Because
So you want to
honestly,
table?
it feels like there's a better way, and he's saying they get 110% of their electric out of it, which is fine, but it just looks terrible. And maybe it's just this view. Maybe it really won't be, maybe it won't be that bad. I think Mary was saying because the visuals that we're looking at are, snow-covered roof and not gray. So will it really be that noticeable? Maybe not, but it just looks terrible. And the south side looks fine, but the front, no.
So I think we had this situation on Colonial Village a number of years ago, and they came up with a resolution to resolve it. And I think Clover Street's another good example when we reviewed that, 6 months ago, and they came back with a good resolution. So Brian, you're going to table?
Yep.
Andrew?
Yeah, I would tend to table for better information. However, I could actually approve it if they were to put in fake panels so that it makes one complete array. And you know what? You're laughing. I'm Googling it right now. And there are ways to make fake panels out of plexiglass and black spray paint and a frame, an aluminum frame. Okay, so the manufacturer of the solar panels doesn't manufacture this, but And maybe these guys couldn't because of their potential skills, but it appears that you could manufacture something that looks very similar and has the penetration drilled through it so that it looks like one complete mass. I'm against the two open panel pieces. It just doesn't look right.
Mary?
So I would approve it if they could put a couple fake panels up there.
Mary?
More pasties. I think we have a little bit of creep happening between this one and the other one, and I think it's calling to me that we need to really sit down and figure out what's acceptable and what isn't it with solar panels as more and more people put these on. We've made other people take care of conduits in a certain way. We've tried to adhere to a more rectangular layout. So I'm not looking at this one project as much as precedent. And I think that I would lean towards tabling it and really considering what's going to be acceptable and what isn't with solar panels.
I would agree, and I would also table it. So, Casey, back to you.
I will table it. I agree.
So Jeff, note that this is tabled, and
No,
okay, 2715 West Henrietta Road is a no-show. That's denied.
what do we want to, I mean, what's the language we want to give back to them?
You
Then they
did
can find
not
an
show
alternate.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
try
show up
showing
or-
up.
No, for the Brookside, for the solar one.
Oh.
Oh.
Resolve
become-
design.
Resolve layout issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a design problem. It's their design problem. It's nice of Andy to suggest something, but it's their problem.
Okay.
And we're talking about the front facade array, not the side array,
Right.
Yeah.
correct, everyone?
Yep.
I think he
Yeah.
said it was the east facing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the south
Yes.
side is fine.
Yes.
That's a good point, Andrew.
Just to ask the question, as a board, would you want them to have less solar panels if it was more symmetric?
Or they could have the same number of panels, but I think they could probably come up with a different layout.
Okay.
By not having such massing.
Is this the only size that solar panels come in?
I think they usually have a regular size.
Well, you know, the problem
The
here is the product is limited in the possible configurations, probably. I don't know though, because I've never shopped for solar panels.
I think you get different dimensions. It's whether the cost is efficient or not.
Yeah, so if we tell them to change the design and then they can't recover the cost of the install, then that's another issue. You know, are we?
Oh, that's
our
their
job is-
business model.
What?
I said, that's their business model.
Exactly. So our problem is it worth it for them for the energy that they're going to realize from the project? Ours is aesthetic. And so aesthetically, it doesn't pass as far as
So
I
I
can
think these sales guys are also working on a commission. So they're pushing it through a pipeline as best they can.
Yeah, sure.
So, you know, they set the precedence now of what we expect so that in the future, and we did that with the first couple of companies.
Yeah.
We came in, we said, nope, nope. And then they adjusted their presentations and their layouts and they're streamless.
Excellent. I agree.
Yeah, and to answer your question, Mary, they do come in, they come in a wide variety of different sizes, different number of cells within each panel, different widths, different heights, the whole bit.
So theoretically, they could make a real tight circle around that vent and then go out as far as they could extend on either side, and probably would have pretty similar results.
Yeah.
It's a design problem.
Well, I think too, there's a corporate issue where there's they're not flexible to the custom build. You know, we saw that with Hess when they came into Brighton. You know, everything was because this is the way corporate wants it. But you know what? Anywhere else in parts of the country, they're doing it when people ask them to do it. So
Sure.
I think we can really set the standard again. So we're all set?
Yep.
So we'll skip West Henrietta Road. And we got 90 Bradford. I'm gonna ask Casey to start this one off.
This one I vote to table. I don't think it's amount of exposed conduit, and the layout is sporadic. I think they really need to rethink this one.
Fran?
I agree. It's sloppy. I think this needs to be looked at. We need a revised layout and some alternate conduit locations.
Yep. Brian?
Yeah, the conduit part doesn't bother me as much as the layout. It's very odd the way that these are done vertically and horizontally on the same plane. It's very awkward. So I would say, just like we said for the other one, we should probably table this for them to come back with a better solution.
Yeah, Brian, I also want to make one comment. You had said something about trees blocking, you know, the view. These design solutions really need to be standalone, you know, whether they're visible or not. And, you know, architecture is going to be able to stand all by itself. So I would just, you know, I'm just saying that as a, you know, keep it in the back of your mind when you're looking at some of these projects.
The tree may not even be an issue. If they can't do it this way, they may end up cutting it down.
Right. Well, the other thing is this layout, you know, speaking of all the trees, it's going to be nothing but a litter catch. You know, there's going to be leaves everywhere getting snagged up.
No, it's just a sloppy, as Fran said. Sloppy.
He's got like 3 or 4 big trees on his property. I mean, you can see three tree shadows right there.
Yep.
So,
Andrew?
Yeah, definitely table this for a better layout, a more cohesive design of the solar panel array. And then Brian, can you stop by your neighbor's house, knock on the door and tell them to get rid of all these downspouts?
I would love to.
Oh my gosh. Right in on the lower roof, and then on the other facade, he's got 3 downspouts coming down. It's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, Third Rock Shutter did it.
Yeah, there's 2 right on. You can see it right there on the. He's got 2 on either side of the panel array. Which, you know, if you're putting panel arrays between gutters like that, I mean, why not move the gutter, right?
Yeah, reposition the location of the gutter and be able to put it in a larger array, and then you could get rid of the upper array completely potentially. And yeah.
So, I mean, it's a good example where the salesman accepted or proposed what was acceptable to the homeowner, right? Probably because he saw the way the gutters are laid out. Mary?
Well, first of all, I think that we should nominate Andrew as the downspout commissioner of the town of Brighton. And anyway,
hold on. Let's pause on that for a moment, Mary. Does that mean I get a plaque for my door?
Well,
you get a raincoat with a badge.
Okay, I'll accept it.
And I agree with Fran's apt term that this is sloppy and everything has to be thought about together. And so table is my vote.
And I table this as well. So I think everyone's done a good job tonight. That should be it.
Are
Jeff,
you-
do you need anything from us?
Are you guys open to painting of the conduit? If you
No.
can't find a way to run it internally?
Can't we push it to be run internally?
So I'm coming off a project where they put miles and miles and miles of conduit through our project space, and you can't see any of it. So a good guy laying conduit can make this happen without painting. So
So I know in the
And
past,
Jeff, I think to answer your question, I think that we have, in the occasions where conduit is coming down from a roof, we just had it 2 months ago. They were going to paint that conduit to match the exterior facade, so it disappeared.
Right, I mean, I think there's a difference between one or two and they're tucked away, they're vertical, they're next to a chimney, they're next to a, you know, a downspout. We've had a couple conditions, obviously, where we've had two attics. They've run them internally within the attic, but then they still have to connect the two. So I mean, when they make an effort and they actually tell us that we've run everything internally to exactly as close as we could get, now it needs to come out, then I'm okay with it. But just
Yeah,
across the entire project, you're not doing your due diligence. You know, every house has an attic, every house has some kind of space in the rafters. Get it in there and then talk to us where you have, you know, a couple penetrations that might need to be connecting to the exterior point.
Yeah, and to this painting of conduit thing, what kind of paint are they using? Is it paint that stays on there as long as the
Right.
conduit is on there? You know,
Never going to. It's gonna chip, it's gonna fail.
it's
in
not
a few
powder
years.
coated aluminum, you know, it's gonna, yeah. I
probably going to
just-
be galvanized, and you can't paint galvanized. So
Exactly.
Yeah, so, you know, I think it's kind of a pig in a poke, this whole painting of the conduit, and excuse the alliteration there. But I agree with
Yeah.
what Casey said. And
I think we definitely push that conduits need to be, you know, brought into the attic space, into the, you know, wall cavity, whatever it takes to get it run internally.
yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
all right, we're all set.
I just wanted to say I got here late. So Jeff, are you going to be here next time?
I'll be here next time, but Jason might be doing more of it.
Anyway, I wanted to say congratulations, and Jason, hi.
Oh, welcome.
Yeah, he's on. He seems to know a lot of people around the area, so we'll get right on in.
Excellent. All right, any closing comments, folks?
No, this is a short one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason, it's not usually like this.
No,
I was
no.
telling him last
Now
time.
bring snacks.
Yeah.
So we'll see everyone next month.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
everybody.
Night,
Good job.
everyone.
Good night.
All right,
Everyone,
thanks.
good night.
Good night, Jim Bob.